Hi there and ho ho ho! Welcome to the 61st OctoPrint on Air. I'm your host, Gina Heuske, still without a B in the name, and yeah, welcome to the final OctoPrint on Air of 2024, I guess. As usual, we will be going over what I've been up to and what the next steps are today. And before we get started with that, just a quick note that this is the first OctoPrint on Air that I'm doing on a new audio setup. And I really hope that things will work out with that, because so I got severely annoyed with the old one. I before this one I had a Blue Yeti, and ever since I switched back to Linux over almost 2 years ago now, no matter what I did, I just couldn't get it to work reliably well. So it always either over or undershot the volume that I wanted, and I also had some issues with weird sounds that it created here and there, and sometimes it just stopped working at all until I started the whole system again. So yeah, that was a bit weird. And after reading tons of reviews and trying to figure out what best to do, I took some money in my hand and figured to solve this that way, and got myself a new Shure MV7 Plus connected to a Vocaster 2 audio interface, and that now seems to finally do what it is supposed to do, and in a reliable way as far as I can see so far. So far, I've only used it for a bunch of video conferences, and things like that, and also, of course, a lot of test recordings. But all in all, I really have high hopes that this will finally make me not cringe anymore whenever I have to listen to myself to one of these, or during cutting, or just when looking up when I mention something in one of these videos. So yeah, and of course, I hope it also means that you will have some better quality to enjoy from now on. Okay. Without further ado, though, let's jump right in. What I've been up to. So, I've continued working since the last one of these, which I was around 3 weeks ago, I think, something like that. I've continued my work towards what will be 1.11.0. And the most important thing that I did, and that I actually want to show you, is that I implemented the custom control manager plugin that I wanted to implement. So there was this old plugin by Salendora called, I think, Custom Control Editor, that sadly has been abandoned for a while now, but that was the only UI for the built-in core feature that is custom controls. Not many people seem to know that, but custom controls are actually a core feature built into OctoPrint. I just never so far actually exposed that on the user interface, on the web interface, but rather you needed to edit the config YAML file by hand or use this editor plugin. But now this editor plugin has been abandoned for a while, and it also has some severe bugs that cause problems for people. And so for a while now, I've had it on my plate to move it into OctoPrint, basically, but in the end, I mostly re-implemented it, actually. And this is what I did the past couple of weeks. And now just let me switch you over to... Yeah, perfect. I also got the Stream Deck to finally work on the Linux, so this was also just now a premiere of using that. What you can see here is the regular OctoPrint interface. And down here, you can see the new Custom Control Manager plugin. And this is what it looks like with some custom controls already configured. What you can see here, you have two buttons, Add Control and Add Container. And on all of these controls and containers that are already defined, you also have some Edit and Deletion button. And for the containers, also buttons to also add a control or a container. And I just noticed I still need tooltips here. That's something that I still need to add. Okay, I'm trying to make a mental note to myself, but so let's just demonstrate how this works. If you wanted to add a control here that just has a button called Test, which sends M117 test to the printer and maybe also requires a confirmation of you if you really want to do this. Then you can do it that way. Click confirm. And now you have a test button. And if you now save this and go to the control tab and scroll down a bit, you will also see this very same button here. And here it will actually be able to do something if you are connected to a printer. What you can also do here is add parameters to the command. So for example, if you do not want to say M117 test, but for example, let's just call that one message, you can add a text input here. Give this parameter the name message, which is the same which we used here in the placeholder, and just say that the default is test, for example. And now you will see that it is rendered like this. So if you were to go down here, you could then swap the test for test 2 or something. And if you click test, this will now be sent to the printer. What else can we do here? I mentioned containers. So you see the blue stuff here, that is the horizontal layout. So we have two controls inside here, enable fan and disable fan, that are put into this one container here and aligned next to each other that way. We also have a bunch of vertical containers here. Those are the red borders around things. Fun stuff reporting both only have one control inside, but this example for multiple commands here has 3 things now in there that are layouted underneath each other. And you could also add another container here. Let's make it a vertical one we call test. And then add another container, another container to that we make a horizontal one and don't give it a name. And then it's just an empty one without this thing. And then you can also add a command to that. And you can see that all of that will be rendered in a way that you can also still adjust these things here. We can also delete this again. Then it will ask if you really want to delete it. We can delete the whole thing again. And you saw when I opened this the first time that I actually had a bunch of things configured here already. If you do not have any custom controls defined yet, oops, that was the wrong one. Then what you will be greeted with on your very first start is this. So it will tell you what to do. That was actually a bit of a problem with the custom control editor, because that one only greeted you with an empty green border and no clue what you had to do. And I hope that this is going to clear things up a bit, and also the whole UX has changed in a way that the old one depended on a right-click context menu, and this one here actually works with dedicated buttons you can see right away, and hopefully then also utilize right away. I'm not going to save that now because I want to keep my custom controls the way they were, as they have everything in there that I need for testing. And if I go back here now, you will also see that they are back. So until you save, nothing will be written to the config and nothing will change. So any changes that you do here are only kept here until you save. That is, I think, also a change compared to the past one. So that is the Custom Control Manager plugin as it will ship with 1.11.0. What it currently does not allow you to do, what the Custom Control Editor plugin allowed you to do, is you cannot reorder these per drag and drop. And frankly, that is also something that I prefer to not to have to implement. So for now, I don't have plans to add that. It would complicate things a lot to enable this, with plenty of side effects that need to be, not side effects, with plenty of possible issues with specific setups and such to look into, and I'm not sure it's worth the trouble, considering that I would expect most people just set up their custom controls once and almost never touch them again. So I'm not sure that this is a feature. So reordering these is something that is absolutely required in the UI. You always have the option to do that by manually editing the config YAML file if this is absolutely necessary, or you just have to do some legwork and do it by redefining plugins and then deleting the old ones. But if there is a majority in the community that actually will require to constantly shift things around there, then I reconsider this stance. But for now, things stay the way they are now. Okay, back to me. Okay, so what else did I do in the past 3 weeks? So I did something that I absolutely hate doing, but which I need to do while preparing every single release, and that is I did the big dependency update. And that this time was even more of a nightmare than usual. Why is this a nightmare usually already? The thing is that plenty of the third-party dependencies that OctoPrint depends on don't have a proper changelog or don't use a proper versioning, or both. So it's always a bit of guessing on whether if I update something it will still work or not. And this time there was the additional problem of plenty of the third-party plugins that OctoPrint depends on by now having dropped Python 3.7 support, and some of them even Python 3.8. Because both of them are end of life. Python 3.7 I think already for well over a year, maybe 2 even, and 3.8 since October of this year. So things are changing fast, and for now I've solved it by depending on other versions under Python 3.7 than I do, and Python 3.8 than I do under Python 3.9. But long term, this is really something that needs to go. So this dependency update session that I did there, which I think took something like 2 days or more until everything worked again. And until the tests were green under all supported Python versions as well. Definitely set it for good that 1.11.0 will be the final version of OctoPrint to support Python 3.7 and also 3.8. And OctoPrint 1.12 will require Python 3.9. But as I mentioned last time, I've prepared a virtual environment tool that will allow you to migrate to a newer Python environment if something like just reflashing OctoPy is not an option for you. And I've also implemented health checks in 1.11.0 that will tell you if you need to update because your OctoPrint, your Python version is too old. Yeah. What else did I do? Tons of minor stuff actually. So I reworked if you start OctoPrint, if you've ever looked into the log file, it will log a list of all of your installed plugins and also whether they are currently enabled or not, and where they are installed and such. And that is something that is quite crucial for helping you in case there's some problem and you're asking for help, because it tells us what kind of third-party plugins you have installed, in what versions you have them installed, and maybe also help you in deciding which to try to disable to maybe solve your problem if it turns out it is caused by a third-party plugin. So far, I only had all of these plugins listed by alphabet. So third-party and bundled mixed with each other. And given that we now have quite a number of bundled plugins, that started to make this list a bit difficult to parse quickly when looking at the log. So I've changed it now that you will first get a list of alphabetically sorted bundled plugins and then a list of alphabetically sorted third-party plugins, and that will hopefully make this easier. I also got an issue reported with some rendering troubles under certain G-code files, I think produced by Prusa Slicer in version whatever. I have no clue right now. One of the latest ones, which will generate G2 and G3 commands. So the curve codes without specific parameters. And the idea here is that this means that this parameter is 0, but the G-code viewer did not know that because so far I never saw G3 or G3 in the field without all of the properties that are usually required there. And so it created some weird issues in the rendering due to that, but that was thankfully something that I could figure out quite quickly and solve. So that will be fixed in 1.11.0. Some UX improvements here and there, and what we also now have is an optional render queue for time lapses. So you can tell OctoPrint to not immediately start rendering a time lapse after your print job ends, but rather wait a bit. And this a bit is something that you can configure. And if you start a print while it is waiting with the rendering, then it will just start the print and basically queue the rendering until after that print. And if that print also creates a time lapse, this will also be unqueued and such. So the idea here is that you can now print 20 prints after each other, and once all of them are done, then your system will be busy a bit for rendering the time lapses for that, and all of the 20 ones then will also show up in your time lapse folder. So yeah, that was a feature request that was also open for a while, and that is now finally implemented. Yeah. And all of that is something that I basically only just finished. So this is also why you have not yet seen a first release candidate for 1.11.0. There was simply way more to do than I thought still. And that is also the reason why you will not see one this year still. So I decided to postpone the first release candidate for 1.11 until the new year. With all the changes in the custom controls manager specifically, I really want to have a chance to test this a bit more. I mean, you just saw that I spotted that I forgot to set a tooltip, things like that. But maybe there are also still some bugs lurking in there that I have not yet discovered. And I really want some more chances to test all of that, and the time simply wouldn't have been enough for this anymore until I'm dropping the hammer for this year. So not doing that. 2025 it will be, so sometime in January. And what else am I doing? I currently, so the past few days basically of this year, I have been and I'm going to further spend on some refactoring experiments. And that is currently not something I want to talk about much, because if it doesn't work out, then not only I will be sad, but if I have told you about it already, you will be sad too. But instead, just know that basically I got an idea on how to refactor some bits in OctoPrint that will, if this all works out and actually performs and such, make a lot of things possible that currently are hard to do or even outright impossible to do. So if this works, that will be great, and you will certainly hear more about this on whether it works out or not in 2025. But for now, just know I'm not twiddling my thumbs. I'm actually producing quite a lot of heat on my head by trying to figure out and brainstorming and wrapping my head around new logic that I'm trying to implement and architecture that I'm trying to put into code. And it's a bit exhausting, but I think it will be worth it. But we'll see. Okay. That was that. The next point is, what are the next steps? And the biggest, most important bit of the next steps is actually going to be a vacation. I'm incredibly exhausted. I've been working nonstop for 5 months now, and it's been some draining 5 months as well. We had all of this year, all throughout this year, we had several release candidate phases and whatnot. Some security issues that I had to fix that were okay. And let's not forget about all of this stats manipulation that I discovered back in summer, and which still makes me incredibly angry whenever I think about it. So let's not talk about this again. If you want to read about this, then please look up the posts in the blog that explain all of that, if you have not heard about this yet. The good news is that I also actually managed to get my feet wet with some actual real development again, and that is something that I sorely missed, like the new upload manager that I implemented, and now also the custom control manager, some tooling left and right and such. So that is really, really nice to be able to do again as well. Yeah. So basically I'm taking a break over the holidays with a few days before Christmas and obviously also a few days after New Year's to just recharge, relax, get some distance to work and all of that, with plenty of games and movies and chilling with my partner and friends and family and all of that, the usual stuff. I will not be at the CCC Congress this year again, so if you thought you would be able to say hi there, sorry to disappoint. I really need the time between the years, as we say in Germany, to chill out. But my buddy Ramses will be there with the Datenzwerge, if you have heard of that and remember that, because I think, demonstrated that little side project of mine and the buddy a few months ago. So if you are at CCC, then you will at least be able to try to do a hunt for all of the Datenzwerge that will be deployed. And after said vacation, obviously first RC for 1.11.0. That will be the biggest priority then. I want to get this out as soon as I can, but obviously during my vacation I expect some issues to come up and such. So after I've worked through all of that and then compiled the changelog, then done some final testing, yada yada yada, then that will happen. What I also learned is, due to an email I got from GitHub yesterday, that I still need to take care of some cleanup in my GitHub Actions workflows across all of the OctoPrint organization, because some action deprecations are coming up, and I apparently am still using some of the deprecated stuff. I thought I didn't. Apparently I am, so I need to fix that. So that is definitely something high on the to-do list for the next work package, so to speak, because the first deadline is at the end of January. I will also be continuing my refactoring experiments as time permits, even after my vacation. Yeah. Okay. So that was basically that. It was a bit of a short one this time. Sorry, I only had to cover 3 weeks instead of 6 or something like that. So that is one of the reasons. And another is that I also am a bit exhausted. And this is one of the final to-dos for me that I have to do this year. So I'm kind of glad that I'm through with that now. And I hope everything worked with the recording, but it looked fine as far as I can see. With that being said, don't forget to congratulate OctoPrint on December 25th, because that will be its birthday. It's turning 12 now. That is something that I still struggle to cope with. Having this as my job and my life, and basically like my achievement of all my life so far, definitely was not something that I envisioned when I started this project just to scratch a personal itch, basically back in late 2012. And that I'm talking to you now, 12 years later, after it has pretty much taken over my life, become my job, and become something that I'm extremely proud about, is something that I certainly did not expect back then. It also has given me plenty of gray hair and has caused a bunch of tears as well. I'm not gonna lie there, and it has also caused some situations where I really got fast on the punch sack over there, but punch sack, not punch sack, punching bag. Sorry, that was a bit of a German attempt at English creeping in there. But all in all, it's an incredible experience, and I'm really, really happy that I'm able to do that, and that I'm still able to do that thanks to all of my supporters. So thank you all for being there. And if you're watching this and have no clue what I'm talking about right now, hi, I make OctoPrint. I do it full time, and you can support my work at support.octoprint.org because this is my livelihood. Thank you. And yeah, okay, I just had to put this out. Some reminiscence and such. Yeah, it's weird, really. 12 years. It's so weird. 6 more, and it will be 18 and allowed to drive a car. I'm not going to implement that. There will be no Octo car. Just so that all of you know, I'm going on the record here. Yeah, okay, so anyhow, the next one of these will be around late January, early February, something like that. I first have to actually get a chance to know what happened after or during my vacation and do some stuff so that I can actually tell you about it. So, yeah, a bit more delay in that as well again, but yeah, we'll see each other when we see each other. Until then, I wish all of you happy holidays, of course, and also a happy new year. And I hope I will see all of you again in 2025. And as always, thanks for being here and watching that. And I hope it was interesting. And now all I have to say is stay healthy, as always, and happy printing. Bye.